Okay, this is our last aspect of the book that focuses on quiz number 4, chapter 15, social and emotional development in adolescence. So Kohlberg, who we mentioned in regards to moral reasoning in our middle childhood or elementary school chapters, comes up again in adolescent moral and religious development. And he has 3 levels of moral reasoning. Level 1 is pre-conventional, and there are 2 sub-stages. Stage 1, a child will make moral choices to avoid punishment. In stage 2, and they'll make the desired or appropriate moral choices to gain rewards. During level 2, this is more conventional, and they're going to, in stage 3, they're going to conform to social expectations of others, and this is our elementary school children, and conform to the law of the land in stage 4. And then level 3, post-conventional, in adolescence, there is social contract reasoning, stage 5, and then the universal ethical principles, which are for older adults, stage 6. So 3 levels with 6 substages, 2 in each level for Kohlberg's stages of moral reasoning. And so here it outlines for you pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional, and the different stages, and then their view of what is right, and their argument for stealing, and their argument against stealing in regards to dilemmas. And here is an example of a dilemma that Kohlberg used in establishing his levels and stages. Is it right for Heinz to steal the drug? Why or why not? And one of the issues with Kohlberg's theory is that he gathered data only on boys and not girls. And so he established an assessment tool utilizing his research. And when he used that tool for girls, girls tended to score lower on his assessment tool than boys. And so other researchers have claimed that his perspective has a more justice-focused perspective, and where girls have more of a caring perspective. So let's take a look at this dilemma. In Europe, a woman was near death from a special kind of cancer. There was one drug that the doctors thought might save her. It was a form of radium that a druggist in the same town had recently discovered. The drug was expensive to make, but the druggist was charging 10 times what the drug cost him to make it. The sick woman's husband, Heinz, went to everyone he knew to borrow the money, but he could only get together about $1,000, which is half of what it cost. He told the druggist that his wife was dying and asked him to sell it cheaper or let him pay later. But the druggist said, "No, I discovered the drug and I'm going to make money from it." Heinz became desperate and considered breaking into the man's store to steal the drug for his wife. And so that's where the basis of the table that we just looked at came from. And so we're going to use this as our application assignment for chapter 15. So you can be thinking about this, and as you answer the questions for that assignment, you can utilize that table. When it comes to moral development, there is a social domain theory, which includes the moral domain, the social conventions, and the personal domain. And so there's more cultural variation in social conventions and personal domain. and cultural variation in foundation of moral rules. So when it comes to religion in adolescence, 84% of teens ages 13 to 17 believe in God. Belief in God is steady across adolescence, but religious service attendance declines. Religious involvement is determined by lots of factors, such as whether your friends participate, whether your parents participate, whether you have conflicting things like work related to religious involvement. And religious involvement is associated with positive outcomes. Okay, so when it comes to adolescent language development, then there are a large number of peer connections with adolescent language. So adolescents use language to connect with their peers and to some extent exclude adults and their parents, particularly vocabulary, pronunciation, and use of words. And there are cultural differences in adolescent language by social class, ethnicity, and nationality. For example, there is mall speak, overusing like or you know or whatever, and digital speak, which is texting shorthand like LOL. Language of youth leaders differs from language of adults. Youth leaders tend to focus on goals of the group, at least in the context of online discussion. Synthesis of the ideas of others, referred to group rather than self, and they're more community-minded. And so then today, adolescents tend to relate to peers a lot through technology and social networking, and this is a critical element of teen experience. This is where they tend to update and publish frequently on social networks. They stay connected by cell phones, texting, and messaging. There's also the cyberbullying issue with public online humiliation and harassment. And the disadvantages of technology is bullies in cyberspace may remain anonymous, and they can get their message out to a larger number of people, and it's difficult for victims to avoid the bully's presence when it's cyberbullying. And then the last issue is sexting, and that's sexually explicit text and photos. And a large percentage of teens are involved in sexting, but the issue is that this breaks federal, state, and state child pornography laws, and this applies to anyone, no matter how old they are. So that's something that we need to make sure we let adolescents know.